Nammo Phat. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for today's daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The fifth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I vow to cultivate good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society, by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will ingest only items that preserve peace, well-being, and joy in my body, in my consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family and society. I am determined not to use alcohol or any other items that contain toxins, such as certain TV programs, magazines, books, films, and conversations. I'm aware that to damage my body or my consciousness with these poisons is to betray my ancestors, my parents, my society, and future generations. I will work to transform violence, fear, anger, and confusion in myself and in society by practicing a diet for myself and for society. I understand that a proper diet is crucial for self-transformation and the transformation of society. We're reading Ajahn Thanissaro's book, The Karma of Questions, and we're again in the chapter on freedom from fear. Of the 5 strengths, conviction requires the longest explanation, both because it's one of the most misunderstood and underappreciated factors in the Buddhist path, and because of the multiple delusions it has to counteract. The conviction here is conviction in the principle of karma, that the pleasure and pain we experience depends on the quality of the intentions on which we act. This conviction counteracts the delusion that it's not in my best interest to stick to moral principles in the face of danger, and it attacks the delusion in 3 ways. First, it insists on what might be called the boomerang or spitting into the wind principle of karmic cause and effect. If you act on harmful intentions, regardless of the situation, the harm will come back to you. Even if unskillful actions such as killing, stealing, or lying might bring short-term advantages, these are more than offset by the long-term harm to which they leave you exposed. Conversely, this same principle can make you brave in doing good. If you're convinced that the results of skillful intentions will have to return to you even if death intervenes, you can more easily make the sacrifices demanded by long-term endeavors for your own good and that of others. Whether or not you live to see the results in this lifetime, you're convinced that the good you do is never lost. In this way, you develop the courage needed to build a store of skillful actions, generous and virtuous, that forms your first line of defense against dangers and fear. Second, conviction insists on giving priority to your state of mind above all else, for that's what shapes your intentions. This counteracts a corollary to the first delusion. What if sticking to my principle makes it easier for people to do me harm? This question is based ultimately on the delusion that life is our most precious possession. If that were true, it would be a pretty miserable possession, for it heads inexorably to death, with holdovers and pain, aging, and illness along the way. Conviction views our life as precious only to the extent that it's used to develop the mind, for the mind, when developed, is something that no one, not even death, can harm. Quality of life is measured by the quality and integrity of the intentions on which we act, just as quality time is time devoted to the practice, or, in the Buddha's words, better than 100 years lived without virtue, uncentered, is one day lived by a virtuous person absorbed in jhana. Third, conviction insists that the need for integrity is unconditional. Even though other people may throw away their most valuable possession, their integrity, it's no excuse for us to throw away ours. The principle of karma isn't a traffic ordinance in effect only on certain hours of the day or certain days of the week. It's a law operating around the clock, around the cycles of the cosmos. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.